Hey Reddit, let me set the scene for you. Picture this, it's mid-December, the tree's up, the stockings are hung, and I'm sipping on hot cocoa while wrapping presents for my wife, Lauren. We've been married for almost a decade, and the holidays are always her favorite time of year. She goes all out, lights, decorations, the whole Hallmark movie vibe. This year felt no different. At least, it seemed that way. We don't have kids, but we've got a little rescue dog named Rocky, who's practically my shadow. While Lauren spent a lot of time out with friends, or handling work stuff, I'd find myself hanging with Rocky by the fireplace, making mental notes to ask her for tips on new Christmas recipes. Everything seemed fine, until a small crack appeared in the holiday magic. It started one evening when Lauren came home from a late-night office party. She was dressed to the nines, red lipstick, heels she hadn't worn in years, and a sparkly little black dress that definitely wasn't from our closet. I remember joking, "Who's the lucky guy?" as I helped her hang up her coat. She just laughed. But something about the way she avoided eye contact stuck with me. I brushed it off at first. Lauren's job in marketing had always been demanding, and she'd mentioned new clients keeping her busy. Still, the little things started adding up: hushed phone calls, her phone never leaving her side, and this subtle shift in how she acted around me. I told myself it was holiday stress. Maybe I was being paranoid. But man, I wish I'd trusted my gut sooner. Things really started to unravel 2 days later. I was doing what every husband dreads, last-minute Christmas shopping, when I bumped into one of Lauren's coworkers at the mall. A guy named Derek. We'd met a few times at her work parties, so I went up to say hi. "Shopping for the office party, huh?" I asked, gesturing to the gift bag he was holding. Derek looked at me like I'd just grown a second head. "Office party? That was cancelled weeks ago. Too much going on with year-end deadlines." My heart sank. I played it cool, though. "Oh, right. I must have mixed up dates. Thanks, man. Happy holidays." I walked out of the mall, feeling like my stomach had dropped out of my body. Where had Lauren been that night? I didn't have answers, but I knew one thing: the woman I thought I knew so well was hiding something. When I got home that night, Lauren was curled up on the couch with Rocky, sipping a glass of wine and watching one of those cheesy Christmas movies she loved. She looked so innocent, so relaxed, it almost made me question myself. Almost. I set down my shopping bags and casually asked, "Hey, how was the office party the other night?" Derek said the company's been crazy busy lately. She didn't even flinch. "Oh, it was fine. You know how those things are: small talk, drinks, everyone pretending to like each other." I nodded, trying to keep my voice steady. "Weird. He mentioned it was cancelled." That got her attention. Her eyes flicked to me for a split second before she plastered on a smile. "Oh. Right. Yeah, the big party was cancelled, but a few of us still got together at Julie's place. Just a little thing for the team. I guess Derek wasn't invited. Poor guy." Her tone was so casual, like she was telling me the weather forecast. But something in her eyes didn't match. "Julie's place?" I asked, leaning on the kitchen counter. "Where does she live again?" Lauren waved her hand dismissively, taking another sip of wine. "Oh, you wouldn't know it. Out near the lake. Cute little cabin, but not really your style." That was strike two. Julie had been to our house for dinner before, and Lauren had mentioned she lived in an apartment downtown. Still, I kept my poker face, not letting her see that my trust in her was slipping through my fingers like sand. "Must have been nice," I said, shrugging. "I didn't know you were so close with Julie." She laughed, the sound sharp and almost mocking. "Well, maybe if you paid more attention, you'd know who my friends are." There it was. The subtle jab she'd perfected over the years. Lauren had a way of flipping the script whenever I got too close to something she didn't want to discuss. "I just want to make sure you're not overworking yourself, babe," I said, keeping my voice calm. She rolled her eyes. "Please. I don't need you playing the concerned husband all of a sudden. I've got it handled." And with that, she grabbed the remote and turned up the volume, effectively ending the conversation. The next day, things got even weirder. I woke up early to take Rocky for a walk, only to find Lauren's phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. Normally, she'd never leave it out in the open. It was practically glued to her hand these days. Curious, I glanced at the screen and saw a notification from someone named T. The message preview read, "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was..." Before I could finish reading, Lauren swooped in like a hawk. "Excuse me, that's private," she snapped, snatching the phone off the counter. I raised an eyebrow. "Who's T?" She scoffed, her tone dripping with condescension. "It's Tina, obviously. We've been planning her sister's bridal shower. Not that you'd care." "Tina? You've never mentioned her before." Lauren rolled her eyes, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. "Not everything in my life revolves around you, Mike. I have my own friends, my own plans. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with work, you'd know that." Her words stung, but more than that, her defensiveness was impossible to ignore. Still, I bit my tongue. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that confronting Lauren head-on is like arguing with a tornado. She twists everything until you don't know which way is up. Later that evening, she announced she'd be going out for drinks with the girls. "Which girls?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She glared at me. "Does it matter? Julie, Tina, whoever. Why do you suddenly care what I do? You've never cared before." I tried to smile, but it felt forced. "Just making conversation." "Yeah, well, maybe focus on your own life for once," she snapped, grabbing her coat and slamming the door on her way out. I sat there for a long time after she left, staring at the empty glass of wine she'd left on the table. Rocky jumped onto my lap, and I scratched his ears absent-mindedly, trying to piece everything together. Lauren had always been fiery, even difficult at times, but this was different. This wasn't just her usual attitude. This was calculated. Defensive. Like she was playing a game where I didn't know the rules. And deep down, I knew I wasn't paranoid. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. The night Lauren went out for drinks with the girls, I decided to stay up and wait for her. Not in an obvious way. I wasn't going to sit on the couch with the lights on like some soap opera dad. No, I kept things subtle. I had the TV on, half watching an old Christmas movie, and Rocky curled up by my side. My eyes, though, kept darting to the clock. 10 p.m. 11:30 p.m. By midnight I started to wonder if she'd even come back at all. But at 12:47 a.m., the front door creaked open, and in she walked, heels clicking against the floor. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You're back late." She froze for a fraction of a second, like she wasn't expecting me to still be awake. Then she slipped into her usual role, kicking off her shoes and tossing her purse onto the counter. "Yeah, we lost track of time. You know how it is." "Who all showed up?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She shrugged, pouring herself a glass of water. "Just the usual. Julie, Tina, a few others." "Why, are you keeping tabs on me now?" I shook my head, forcing a laugh. "Nah, just curious." She leaned against the counter, sipping her water and looking at me with that expression she used when she wanted me to drop the subject. "Well, I'm here now. What more do you need?" There it was again, that sharpness in her tone. The underlying edge that told me to back off. But this time I couldn't. "Lauren," I said slowly, "is everything okay?" She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know. You've just been different lately. Distracted. I feel like we're not on the same page anymore." She laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh that comes from amusement. It was bitter, almost mocking. "Oh, please. Don't start this whole 'are you okay' act. If you're bored, go watch another movie or something." "I'm serious," I said, my voice firmer now. Her expression shifted, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of guilt. But it was gone just as quickly, replaced by the wall she always put up when things got too personal. Mike, you're imagining things. Maybe you're the one who's been distracted. Work, Rocky, whatever it is. Don't project your insecurities onto me. I blinked, caught off guard. She had turned it around so quickly, I almost believed her. Almost. Okay, I said quietly, letting her think she'd won. Maybe I'm imagining it. She smiled sweetly, too sweetly. Glad we cleared that up. Now I'm going to bed. Night, babe. The next morning, I woke up early again, partly because I couldn't sleep, and partly because I wanted to see if Lauren had left anything behind. Her coat was still on the chair where she draped it the night before. Her purse sat next to it, half-zipped. I didn't like snooping. It wasn't who I was. But something in me, call it instinct, call it desperation, told me I needed answers. So I peeked. Inside her purse, tucked underneath her wallet and a tube of lipstick, was a receipt. I pulled it out and felt my stomach drop. It wasn't from a bar or restaurant. It was from a hotel. The time stamp was from last night, just before midnight. My head started spinning. I could feel my pulse in my ears as I stared at the slip of paper, the name of the hotel printed in bold letters. She wasn't drinking with Julie and Tina. She wasn't anywhere near them. I shoved the receipt back into her purse and sat on the edge of the couch, trying to steady my breathing. I had always considered myself a rational guy, someone who didn't jump to conclusions. But how could I explain this away? When Lauren came down the stairs a few hours later, she was all smiles. She kissed me on the cheek and asked if I wanted pancakes. Pancakes. Like nothing had happened. As I watched her hum Christmas carols while flipping batter, I felt something inside me shift. I wasn't angry, not yet anyway. I was determined. If she was lying to me, I was going to find out exactly how deep the lies went. Over the next couple of days, I played it cool. I acted like everything was fine, like I wasn't replaying that hotel receipt in my mind over and over again. I didn't confront Lauren. I couldn't, not yet. I needed more. Lauren, meanwhile, went about her life like nothing had changed. She decorated the house, hung garlands, and spent an absurd amount of time rearranging ornaments on the tree. I couldn't decide if she was trying too hard to look normal, or if she really thought she was untouchable. The lies kept coming, though, slipping out of her mouth as easily as air. Mike, can you believe Julie's new boyfriend bought her a car for Christmas? God, talk about overcompensating, she said one evening, rolling her eyes. I nodded, playing along. Yeah, that's something. She was so smug about it at brunch. Lauren continued, tossing another ornament onto the tree. I can't stand people who flaunt their money like that. Julie. Brunch. More details to check later. Speaking of which, I said casually, you mentioned you and Tina were planning her sister's bridal shower? How's that going? Lauren froze for a split second, her hand hovering over the tree. Then she laughed. Oh, it's a nightmare. Tina's sister is impossible to work with. She's one of those everything has to be perfect types, you know? I nodded again, biting back the urge to call her out. Tina's sister wasn't getting married. I'd already looked Tina up on social media, because let's face it, that's what you do when you're trying to connect the dots, and she didn't even have a sister. The lies weren't just piling up, they were crumbling under their own weight. A few days later, Lauren dropped another bombshell. I'm going out tonight, she announced, brushing her hair in front of the mirror. Another girls' night? I asked, keeping my tone light. She smiled at me in the mirror, but it didn't reach her eyes. Yep. It's Tina's turn to host. We're just doing wine and cheese, nothing crazy. Wine and cheese. Sure. Sounds fun, I said, keeping my poker face intact. Say hi to Tina for me. I will, she said, her voice a little too cheery. When she left, I decided it was time to do something I never thought I'd have to do in my marriage. I followed her. I waited a few minutes after she pulled out of the driveway, then grabbed my keys and jumped in my car. Rocky barked from the living room window, looking confused as I backed out. Don't worry, buddy, I muttered. I'll be back soon. I kept a safe distance, my headlights off, as I tailed Lauren through the city. She wasn't heading toward Tina's neighborhood. In fact, she wasn't heading toward any neighborhood. She drove downtown, turning into the parking lot of, you guessed it, the same hotel on the receipt. My hands clenched the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles turned white. But I didn't park. I just sat there, watching as she walked into the building, heels clicking on the pavement, her phone in her hand. I stared at the entrance long after she disappeared inside, debating whether to go in or not. I wasn't sure if I wanted answers right then or if I wanted more time to think. In the end, I decided to drive home. Not because I didn't care, oh, I cared. But I wanted to make sure I had the full picture before I made my move. When Lauren came back later that night, she acted like nothing was out of the ordinary. "How was the wine and cheese?" I asked, forcing a smile. "Oh, you know, the usual. Tina brought that fancy brie again. She's obsessed with it," Lauren said, rolling her eyes. "Brie. Sure. Sounds delicious," I said, my voice steady. And just like that, the conversation was over. She slipped out of her heels, gave Rocky a quick scratch behind the ears, and went upstairs to bed, leaving me alone in the living room with my thoughts. By now, the evidence was stacking up, but I still needed one final piece. Something undeniable. Something so solid that she couldn't worm her way out of it with another snarky comment or half-baked excuse. So I made a plan. The Christmas holidays were just around the corner, and Lauren was planning one of her signature holiday parties. Friends, coworkers, family, you name it. She loved being the center of attention, loved the way everyone oohed and ahed over her decorations and homemade cocktails. What better time, I thought, to give her the gift she truly deserved. A little holiday declassification, for all her nearest and dearest to enjoy. But first I needed to tie up a few loose ends. The days leading up to Lauren's holiday party were a balancing act. On the surface, I played the part of the doting husband, stringing lights across the porch, hauling boxes of decorations from the attic, and smiling through her endless critiques. "Mike, can you not just throw the tinsel on the tree like a caveman? Spread it out evenly. It's not rocket science," she snapped one evening, sipping a spiked cider as she supervised. "Got it," I said through gritted teeth, carefully draping the tinsel while plotting my next move. Lauren had no idea that while she was busy nitpicking the garland placement, I was playing detective behind the scenes. First, I paid a visit to the hotel. I walked into the lobby during my lunch break, trying to look as casual as possible. The concierge, a young guy with glasses, greeted me with a rehearsed smile. "Hi there," I said, leaning on the counter. "Quick question. My wife was here recently for some work stuff, meetings or something. She lost the receipt and asked me to pick up a copy for her records. Her name's Lauren." The concierge frowned, tapping away at his computer. I need to check our records. Do you know the date of her stay? December 15th, I think. Could have been the 14th, though," I said, pretending to check my phone. "Got it. Give me a sec." As he searched, I felt my pulse quicken. If he came back with nothing, I'd know Lauren was lying about being there at all. But if her name popped up, well, I'd have more proof to work with. The guy returned a moment later, holding a printout. "Here we go. Lauren checked in on the 15th for a few hours in the evening. Looks like she booked a deluxe suite." A deluxe suite. For a work meeting. I forced a smile. "Perfect. Thanks for your help." Next, I decided to track down her supposed friend, Tina. Tina and I had never been close, but we'd exchanged pleasantries at a few parties over the years. I found her number in an old group text Lauren had sent a while back, so I gave her a call. "Hello?" Tina answered, sounding distracted. "Hey, Tina, it's Mike, Lauren's husband," I said, trying to sound friendly. "Oh, hey. What's up?" "Not much. I just wanted to thank you for inviting Lauren over the other night for wine and cheese. She really enjoyed it." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Wine and cheese? Tina repeated, confusion thick in her voice. Yeah, at your place. She said you and the girls got together on Wednesday. Another pause. Then, oh, right. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, it was fun. Glad she had a good time. Her voice had shifted. Too eager, too rehearsed. Cool, I said, my tone neutral. Well, thanks for hosting. Have a good one. Why you too? She stammered before hanging up. Tina was covering for her. Badly. That night, I scrolled through Lauren's social media accounts, searching for any other inconsistencies. Her Instagram was a shrine to her, perfect life, artfully filtered photos of our house, our dog, her coffee, and herself. Nothing out of the ordinary. But her Facebook was another story. Buried in her tagged photos, I found a picture of her from last week. She was at a fancy restaurant, laughing with a man whose face I didn't recognize. The caption read, "Great catching up with old friends." The man was no old friend. His hand rested a little too comfortably on her shoulder, his grin a little too intimate for my liking. I clicked on his profile. His name was Travis, and judging by his profile picture, where he was flexing shirtless in front of a car, he wasn't exactly subtle. Scrolling through his page, I found another post that made my blood run cold. Another amazing night with someone special. Can't wait for what's next. Attached was a photo of 2 champagne glasses on a hotel table. The background? A deluxe suite. By this point, the puzzle pieces were falling into place. Lauren wasn't just lying. She was proud of it. She was parading around with this Travis guy, posting cryptic pictures like she was some teenager sneaking out of the house. And the worst part? She thought I'd never catch on. I stared at the screen, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. But I kept it in check. I wasn't going to explode, not yet. The holiday party was only a few days away, and I needed it to go perfectly. If Lauren wanted to keep spinning her web of lies, fine. I'd let her finish. But when the time came, I'd be holding the scissors. The closer we got to Lauren's holiday party, the more obvious it became that she thought she had everything under control. She moved through the house with this smug energy, barking orders about cleaning, decorating, and arranging appetizers, all while spending just enough time scrolling through her phone to remind me where her real priorities were. "Mike, can you please vacuum the living room again? You missed a spot," she snapped, tossing me a glare as she carefully arranged the charcuterie board. "It's already spotless," I said, gripping the vacuum handle a little tighter than necessary. "Sure, you think it is," she shot back, not even looking at me. I forced a smile. "Whatever you say, dear." Inside, I was counting down the minutes until this whole charade came crashing down. While Lauren spent hours perfecting the winter wonderland aesthetic of the party, I worked behind the scenes to make sure the night would be unforgettable, for all the wrong reasons. First, I gathered my evidence: the hotel receipt, screenshots of Travis's social media posts, and a few incriminating texts I'd managed to intercept when Lauren carelessly left her phone unlocked one morning. "Spoiler alert," she called me the Vacuum King in a message to Travis. Charming. Then I made a guest list of my own. I double-checked that all the key players would be in attendance: her closest friends, her coworkers, even her mom, Kathy, who always loved to talk about how perfect Lauren was. Lastly, I arranged for a little special delivery. I won't spoil the details yet, but let's just say it involved a projector and a slideshow that would make a tabloid editor proud. By the time the night of the party arrived, everything was ready. Lauren was in full hostess mode, greeting guests at the door with her signature megawatt smile. She wore a shimmering emerald dress that hugged her curves in all the right places, her hair perfectly curled, her makeup flawless. "Mike, can you grab more ice from the garage?" she barked, barely glancing at me as she handed a glass of wine to her friend Julie. "On it," I said, keeping my tone chipper. I slipped into the garage, not for ice, but to check on my little surprise. Everything was set, and my heart pounded with a mix of nerves and anticipation. Almost there, I told myself. The party went exactly as Lauren planned, at least for the first hour. The house buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, Christmas music played softly in the background, and Lauren flitted from group to group, soaking up the compliments about the decorations. "You've really outdone yourself this year," her mom gushed, sipping from a flute of champagne. "The house looks like something out of a magazine." "Thanks, Mom," Lauren said, flashing a smile that could have powered the Christmas lights. "It's all about the details, you know?" She caught my eye from across the room and raised an eyebrow, silently asking why I wasn't doing more to entertain her guests. I raised my glass in response and smiled. Finally, the moment came. I cleared my throat and tapped a spoon against my glass, drawing everyone's attention. "Hey everyone, can I get a quick minute?" I said, standing by the living room TV. "I just want to take a second to thank Lauren for putting together such a beautiful evening. Doesn't she look amazing tonight?" Applause rippled through the room, and Lauren beamed, looking genuinely touched for the first time in weeks. "Thanks, babe," she said, tilting her head sweetly. "Now," I continued, "as you all know, Lauren and I love a good holiday surprise. And this year, I've got a little something special prepared. A presentation, if you will." The smile froze on Lauren's face, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Mike, what are you doing?" "Don't worry, sweetheart," I said, giving her a reassuring grin. "It's just a little slideshow I threw together. A celebration of us." Before she could stop me, I grabbed the remote and clicked on the TV. The projector hummed to life, casting the first slide onto the wall. It was a picture of Lauren and me on our last anniversary trip, smiling by the beach. "Ah," someone murmured in the crowd. But the slides quickly took a turn. The next image was a photo of the hotel receipt, blown up for everyone to see. Lauren's smile vanished. The slide after that? A screenshot of Travis's Instagram post, featuring those infamous champagne glasses and his special someone. The room went silent, save for the muffled sound of Christmas music still playing in the background. "What the hell is this?" Lauren hissed, her voice low but furious. "Oh, there's more," I said cheerfully, clicking to the next slide, a screenshot of her text with Travis, complete with pet names and her not-so-charming nickname for me. Gasps rippled through the room. Julie muttered, "Oh my God!" Her mom looked like she was about to faint. I turned to the crowd, keeping my voice calm. "I thought everyone should see just how hard Lauren's been working this holiday season. All those late nights and work meetings? Turns out, they weren't exactly on the company calendar." "Mike, stop!" Lauren snapped, her voice shaking now. "But I wasn't done yet." "Don't worry, babe," I said, clicking to the final slide, a photo of Travis shirtless, grinning like an idiot. "This is Travis, by the way. I'm sure he'd love to join us tonight, but I think he's busy polishing his car, or his abs. Who knows?" The room erupted into a cacophony of whispers and stunned exclamations. Lauren stood frozen, her face pale, her mouth opening and closing like she couldn't decide whether to scream or cry. "Mike, I can explain," she stammered. "Oh, I'm sure you can," I said, setting the remote down. "But I think your guests have heard enough for tonight. Merry Christmas, everyone." With that, I grabbed my coat, whistled for Rocky, and walked out the door, leaving Lauren standing in the wreckage of her own lies. As I turned toward the door, the noise in the room shifted from stunned silence to chaos. Lauren lunged after me, grabbing my arm. "Mike, wait," she hissed, her voice low enough to not carry over the murmurs but sharp enough to cut glass. I turned to face her, keeping my expression calm even though my heart was pounding. "Wait for what, Lauren?" I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You've had weeks, months, apparently, to explain. Why stop the party now? You love being the center of attention." Her face twisted, somewhere between rage and desperation. "This isn't the place. You're blowing this out of proportion. Can we just talk about this privately?" I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter sound that echoed through the now quiet room. "Privately? Oh, no. You didn't keep anything private, Lauren. Why should I?" Mike, please. She pleaded, her tone softer now, trying to draw me in like she always did when she wanted to control the narrative. You're making this bigger than it is. I tilted my head, feigning confusion. Oh, so the hotel, the texts, and Travis are what? A misunderstanding? A figment of my imagination? Her hands clenched into fists, and her voice rose. You don't know the full story. You don't know what I've been dealing with. Oh, this should be good, I said, stepping back toward the center of the room. Go ahead, Lauren. Tell everyone the full story. By now, the crowd was fully tuned in, no one even pretending to sip their drinks. Julie was wide-eyed, clutching her wine glass like it might shatter under the pressure of her grip. Lauren, what's he talking about? She finally blurted. What's going on? Lauren shot Julie a look so venomous it could have killed a plant. This is none of your business, Julie. Her mom, Kathy, stepped in, her face pale as the lights twinkling on the tree. Lauren, she said, her voice trembling. Please tell me this isn't true. Tell me Mike's lying. Lauren turned to her mother, the tears now streaming down her cheeks. Mom, you don't understand. Mike hasn't been there for me. He's been so checked out, so cold, and I haven't been there for you? I cut her off, unable to stop myself. That's rich. I've been working overtime to give you the life you insist you deserve while you're sneaking around, playing house with your shirtless boy toy. The room collectively winced at my words. Who's Travis? Someone muttered. Was that really her text? Another voice whispered. Lauren's face crumpled, but the tears didn't feel genuine. Not to me, at least. It wasn't supposed to be like this. She wailed, clutching at her dress like the fabric would hold her together. Oh, I bet it wasn't, I said, arms crossed. You probably thought I'd keep playing dumb, vacuuming the living room and walking Rocky while you lied your way through Christmas. Mike, stop, she said again, her voice breaking. We can fix this. Please. I made a mistake, okay? But it didn't mean anything. Kathy gasped. Lauren. Didn't mean anything? I repeated, shaking my head. Spare me the cliché. You know what didn't mean anything? Every excuse you fed me. Every fake girls' night. Every work event. That's what didn't mean anything. Julie, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up again, her voice shaking. Lauren, is this true? All of it? Lauren turned to her, eyes blazing. Don't you start, Julie. You're not perfect either. Oh, don't deflect, I said, stepping in before Lauren could turn the heat elsewhere. This isn't about Julie. Or me. Or anyone else. This is about you lying, cheating, and thinking you could get away with it. The room was a powder keg of whispers, murmurs, and the occasional loud exclamation. Who's Travis? Someone asked again, more forcefully this time. Did she really call him the vacuum king? That's brutal. Her husband is standing right here, and she's trying to spin this? Wow. Lauren's mom looked like she was ready to faint. Lauren, Kathy said again, her voice trembling. I can't believe you. Mike has been nothing but good to you. Lauren's face twisted in frustration. Mom, you don't know what it's like. Our marriage hasn't been perfect. Mike works all the time, and he's emotionally unavailable. That earned a few scoffs from the crowd. Oh, please, I said, stepping forward. Is that supposed to justify what you've done? Because I work hard to support us, you get to sneak off to hotel rooms with Travis? Newsflash, Lauren, marriages aren't perfect. You don't get to destroy someone's trust and then blame them for it. Finally, someone from the back of the room spoke up, a coworker of Lauren's I barely knew. Lauren, is this why you were acting so weird during the holiday meeting last week? You were texting someone the whole time. Lauren turned on her, her voice shrill. Stay out of this, Jessica. Oh, I think Jessica's question is very valid, I said, smirking. Maybe you'd like to enlighten everyone about who you were texting, Lauren? Or should we just assume it was Travis? The room erupted into more murmurs, and Lauren looked ready to explode. But she didn't get the chance. Her mom set her glass down with a loud clink. Lauren, she said, her voice firm now. You've embarrassed yourself enough. You need to leave. Now. Lauren's eyes widened. Mom. You're taking his side? Kathy didn't waver. Mike has been nothing but respectful, even after you humiliated him. You need to leave this house before you make things worse. For the first time all night, Lauren was speechless. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The room felt electric after Lauren's mom, Kathy, took my side. For a split second, Lauren just stood there, frozen, as the weight of the situation finally seemed to sink in. Then, like a switch flipping, she went from panic to furious. Fine, she snapped, her voice cutting through the murmurs like a whip. If you all want to turn on me, go ahead. Mike's the perfect husband, right? He never makes mistakes. He never ignores me for weeks on end. I hope you all enjoy your little pity party for him. She spun around, grabbing her coat from the hallway, her heels clicking sharply on the tile floor. Lauren, don't make this worse, Kathy said, her voice low but steady. Worse? Lauren spat, whipping around. This is already a circus, Mom. Thanks for piling on. You brought this on yourself, Lauren. Kathy shot back. I raised you better than this. I didn't raise you to treat people this way. Spare me the lecture. Lauren snapped, shoving her arms into her coat. You always take his side. You've been obsessed with Mike since the day we got married. Oh, that's enough, I said, stepping forward. Don't blame your mom for this, Lauren. She didn't text Travis. She didn't book a hotel suite. That was all you. Lauren glared at me, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. You're such a martyr, Mike. Acting like you're the victim here when you've been emotionally checked out for years. I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. I've been working my butt off to give you the life you wanted, Lauren. If that makes me checked out, then I'm sorry. But you know what? Plenty of couples go through rough patches. Most of them don't decide to solve it by hooking up with some guy named Travis. As she stormed toward the door, Julie finally spoke up, her voice hesitant but firm. Lauren, she said, if this is all true, I don't think I can be friends with you anymore. Lauren froze, her hand on the doorknob. Oh, give me a break, Julie. Like you're some perfect saint? Julie shook her head. I'm not perfect, but I've never done this. I've never lied to my husband or humiliated him in front of everyone he knows. And honestly, I've always felt bad for Mike. You've treated him like garbage for years. Gasps rippled through the room as Julie's words hit like a slap. Lauren's eyes narrowed. Unbelievable, she muttered, yanking the door open. She turned back to the crowd one last time, her voice dripping with venom. I hope you all enjoy gossiping about me behind my back. You'll never hear my side of the story because none of you actually care. Have a great life. With that, she slammed the door behind her, leaving the house in stunned silence. For a moment, no one moved. Then Kathy broke the tension, turning to me with a look of genuine sorrow. Mike, I'm so sorry, she said, her voice cracking. I had no idea things were this bad. I nodded, feeling the weight of the last few weeks finally settle on my shoulders. I didn't either, Kathy. Not until recently. Julie stepped forward, looking awkward. Mike, I don't know what to say. I knew Lauren could be difficult, but I didn't think she'd ever do something like this. I managed a small smile. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate it. One of Lauren's coworkers, Jessica, chimed in nervously. Honestly, Mike, we've noticed something was off with her lately. At work, I mean. She's been distracted, irritable. I guess now it makes sense. As the crowd slowly began to recover, I noticed a few people quietly slipping out, clearly uncomfortable with the drama. But others stayed, offering kind words and awkward pats on the back. Kathy stayed the longest, helping me clean up the aftermath of the party. As we gathered empty glasses and tossed out half-eaten appetizers, she paused, her hands shaking slightly. Mike, you deserve better than this, she said softly. I know she's my daughter, and I'll always love her, but you didn't deserve any of this. I swallowed hard, feeling a lump rise in my throat. Thanks, Kathy. That means a lot. She nodded, placing a hand on my shoulder. Take care of yourself, okay? Don't let this destroy you. You're stronger than that. When everyone was finally gone, I sat down on the couch with Rocky, staring at the wreckage of the party. Plates and glasses littered the table, the twinkling Christmas lights casting a surreal glow over the room. Rocky rested his head on my lap, letting out a soft whine. Yeah, buddy, I muttered, scratching behind his ears. It's been a long night. As I sat there, I realized something strange. I felt lighter. Like a weight I hadn't even noticed before had been lifted. Lauren was gone. The lies were out in the open. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel trapped. I didn't know what the future would hold, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let this break me. 2 days after the party, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing relentlessly on the nightstand. Rocky stirred at the foot of the bed, lifting his head with a low grumble as I reached for the phone. The caller ID flashed a name that made my stomach churn, Lauren. I debated letting it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. I swiped to answer. What do you want, Lauren? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. She didn't answer right away, and for a moment I thought she'd hung up. But then, her voice came through, soft and tremulous. Mike. I need to come by and pick up my things. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Fine. When? Today, she said quickly, like she was afraid I'd changed my mind. In a couple of hours? Sure, I said, keeping my tone neutral. I'll leave the door unlocked. Just be quick. She showed up right on time, which was unusual for Lauren. Her car screeched to a halt in the driveway, and she emerged wearing oversized sunglasses and a long coat, like she was trying to avoid being recognized. She hesitated at the door, then let herself in, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I stayed seated at the dining table, deliberately not getting up. Rocky sat by my feet, watching her every move with wary eyes. Lauren glanced at me, then quickly looked away, her usual confidence gone. I just need to grab a few things, she muttered, heading toward the bedroom. Take your time, I said dryly. She reemerged 20 minutes later, dragging a suitcase behind her and clutching a box full of random items. For a moment I thought that was it. But then she stopped, set the box down, and turned to face me. Mike, she said, her voice wavering. I made a mistake. I sighed, already tired of this conversation before it began. Yeah, Lauren, I think we've established that. No, I mean, I made a mistake walking out. She continued, stepping closer. I shouldn't have left the way I did. I shouldn't have done what I did. Her voice cracked, and she pulled off her sunglasses, revealing puffy, tear-streaked eyes. I know I've screwed up. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I still love you. I do. I blinked, stunned into silence. I don't want this to be over, she said, her voice desperate now. I'll do anything, Mike. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. Please. Just give me one more chance. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. Part of me felt sorry for her, sorry for the mess she'd made of her own life, sorry for the hollow look in her eyes that told me she finally understood the gravity of what she'd done. But the other part of me, the part that had spent months feeling betrayed, manipulated, and discarded, wasn't swayed by her tears. You want another chance? I said finally, my voice calm. Yes, she said, her eyes lighting up with a flicker of hope. I'll prove to you that I can be better. No, I said firmly. Her face fell, her hands trembling as she clutched the edge of the box. Mike, please. Don't do this. You already did it, Lauren, I said, standing up. You burned this bridge the second you decided to lie, cheat, and humiliate me in front of everyone we know. You don't get to come back now just because you don't like the consequences. She flinched, her lip trembling. You can't just throw away 10 years like this. I crossed my arms, meeting her gaze without flinching. You threw it away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. Lauren stared at me for a long moment, tears streaming down her face. Then, just like that, the sorrow was gone, replaced by the cold, venomous glare I'd seen at the party. Fine. She spat, grabbing her box and yanking the suitcase behind her. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize no one else will put up with you. I raised an eyebrow, smirking. Don't worry. I won't. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard that the wreath on the front shook. I stood there for a moment, listening to her car peel out of the driveway, and then, silence. It was over. I looked down at Rocky, who wagged his tail as if to say, good riddance. Guess it's just you and me now, buddy, I said, scratching his ears. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. And as I stood there, the December sunlight streaming through the windows, I realized that Lauren's last move wasn't some grand gesture or dramatic finale. It was her leaving. For good. And I was finally okay with that.